Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I am bringing you another one of my up-to-the-minute news videos. There has been new news. I suppose the clue's in the name, really, the whole news. We are getting a new type of Pokemon trading card. And they've just been revealed at World, so I'm going to show you what they are, and we're going to have a quick discussion, little bit of reckless speculation, because why not? They are Pokemon GX cards. Now, they do still have the same ruling as Pokemon EX, whereby if they get KO'd, they give up 2 prizes. But what's really exciting here is the new mechanic, the GX attack. And what's different about the GX attack is it can only be used 1 time per game, making it basically the attack equivalent of Ace Specs. They're really, really good, but you can only use them very, very, very limited. Now, this initially brings back memories of Mega EXs. When Mega EXs came out, we had the situation where, there's Mega EXs, but you've got to evolve them. And when you evolve, you end your turn. And everyone went, oh my goodness, well, these are going to have to be good. If these cards aren't spectacular, nobody's going to play them. And they weren't spectacular, and nobody did play them. Like the Venusaur, the attack's quite good, auto paralysis, it's too expensive, you got to end your turn, nobody's playing Mega Venusaur. So Pokemon came out and said, right, we're going to give you these Spirit Link tool cards, and you attach the tool to the Pokemon EX, and when you Mega Evolve, you don't end your turn. And now Megas are much, much better. So with these GX attacks, they have got to be good, because if they're not good, nobody's going to want to play them. It is a once per game kind of attack. We are expecting super overpowered attacks. Now, we've got 2 GX cards. We've got Solgaleo GX and Lunala GX, i.e. the 2 mascots from the upcoming games Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Do not expect any other GX cards in our first Sun and Moon set. This will be our February set, so you're not going to get these cards for a little while. Next year at Worlds, they'll be quite useful. We're only going to get these 2, and the reason is they're mascot cards. Think back to the black and white set, when we got the big full art cards, but only Reshiram and Zekrom, and then they'll be expanded in future sets. So let's have a look at these cards, see if they are any good. Solgaleo GX. Now, if you look at the card here, we don't actually have all of the information. We don't know what his HP is, we don't know weakness, resistance, retreat cost, and we don't know attack cost, so we're not entirely sure here. So there's a lot of questions still to be answered. Now, he's got an ability. Once during your turn, you may switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. It's Switch. It is Switch in an ability. But you know what? Switch is a card that we all want every so often. We've all had those turns where we're desperately digging, trying to find a Switch card. This makes sense. It's a very nice ability. Sunseal Strike does 230 damage, which is enough to KO most EXs and Mega EXs, although Wailord, Primal Groudon are examples of Pokemon that won't quite be KO'd. Fighting Fury Bout will not save most EXs from this. This is quite redonkulous. We don't know how much energy it costs. We know you have to discard it all. Now, it doesn't actually say that Solgaleo and Lunala are basics. However, when we look at Lunala's attack in a minute, we can presume that they're basics because of the wording of Lunala's attack. Which means you can use cards like Max Elixir here to try and get more energy on Solgaleo nice and early. But it's the GX attacks we're looking at here. Soul Burst GX. Search your deck for up to 5 energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon. Then shuffle your deck. That's redonkulous, ladies and gentlemen. It says energy cards, not basic, so double colorless, strong energy, they are all up for grabs, and it's to any of your Pokemon, basic, evolved, EX, Mega EX, whatever. So cards which usually are far too expensive, one that springs to mind very quickly is something like Mega Steelix, you can set up in 1 turn with all the special energy that you like. That is absurd. But you can only use 1 GX attack per game. If you use Soul Burst, you can't use Lunar Fall. Solgaleo GX, we don't know the HP, and we don't know the attack cost of either of these attacks. But I don't think I have ever seen a better setup attack than Soul Burst. It's ludicrous. It is an attack that is good enough to be a once per game attack. So how about Lunala GX? Can she compete? Well, Psychic rather than Steel, as Solgaleo is. And again, we don't know various information, but the ability, as often as you like, during your turn, you may move a psychic energy from one of your Pokemon to another. And it's from any Pokemon. You can move it around EXs, you can move it around basics, evolved Pokemon, whatever you feel like. It reminds me of an old Miss Magius card, although it's as often as you like. Or think of it like Aromatisse, but for psychic energy. This is an absurd ability which will see a lot of play. Anytime you have a psychic deck, you are going to want this ability. Just like Aromatisse saw a lot of play. Think about Mega Mewtwo. Now, we use a Mewtwo EX with damage change, it needs free energy. You can basically get a damaged Mewtwo, and you might not want to use damage change, so you can just move all the energy to a different Mewtwo, and that's where cards like Max Potion come in, for argument's sake, to completely heal Mewtwo, and, you know, you can just switch between Mewtwo's all game long. Both these abilities, sick. Phantom Ray, 120 damage, and the defending Pokemon cannot be healed during your opponent's next turn. Depends how much people are healing, to be honest. People tend to prefer cards like AZ, which pick up rather than heal. So I don't think... I don't like this attack anywhere near as much as I like Solgaleo's attack, but it'll basically 2-hit KO everything without letting your opponent heal. The attack cost of this is going to be very interesting. But the main event, the thing we're all really interested in, Lunar Fall. Knock out one of your opponent's basic Pokemon that isn't a Pokémon GX. And that's how I'm saying these Pokémon GX are basic, because if they have to say knock out a basic that isn't a GX, that therefore suggests that GXs are basic Pokemon. And this card is a lot of strategy. Solgaleo, Soul Burst, there's not a huge amount of strategy there. It's basically a case of either you're setting up at the beginning of the game or it's a bit of a mid-game comeback. There's not too much strategy there. But Lunala's Lunar Fall, there's so much strategy here. Do you knock out a basic Pokemon that you don't want your opponent to evolve later on in the game? Do you take a big KO when your opponent's building up lots of energy? Or do you go ahead and wait and use this to take your last 2 prizes off a Pokemon EX? Let's say, you know, you're using a Lunala, early on in the game, you take out a Pokemon EX for 2 prizes, then Solgaleo comes out and uses Soul Burst to get a whole bunch of energy on the field. That's bad play. If you know your opponent's going to use Soul Burst, then you wait. Lunar Fall makes a lot of sense to KO the Pokemon that's just got 5 energy from Soul Burst. Although, to be clear, Soul Burst does not have to all go on one Pokemon, you can spread it around. So much strategy with Lunala, and I think Lunala is going to be the more played card. I prefer Solgaleo's ability and attack, but Lunala's GX attack is just too good. And it's going to be very interesting because good players are going to use Lunar Fall far better than bad players. They are going to wait to KO when they really need the KO. They're going to have Lunala for the last prize when it looks like they haven't got any other way to take a prize. They are going to use Lunala to completely decimate their opponent's setup by getting that KO the turn they really need it. Of course, until we can see their HP, until we can see weakness, resistance, retreat cost, and most importantly, until we can see the attack cost, we don't really know how good these are going to be. But I'm so excited about these new cards and this new mechanic, I just had to share it with you lovely people. Now, I'm hoping you're watching this during a break in the World Stream. I'm certainly making it in a break during the World Stream. So get yourselves back over to that. It's going to be fantastic. But before you do, click that like button, click subscribe, and of course, go nuts in the comment section. This is a little bit exciting. Thank you very much for watching. The most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.